Your mind immediately jumps to the usual suspects. They must have used bad cement, or they cheaped out on the sand. We've all heard those horror stories. The main culprit, especially in regions like Tamil Nadu, is a type of soil known as clay soil, or Kali Mann. On the surface, it looks totally harmless, but its behavior is incredibly unpredictable, and that's what makes it so destructive. That's right, the problem is literally under your feet. The very ground your home is built on has shifted, and it's usually all because of one of the most overlooked but absolutely critical steps in construction, the soil test. Okay, first up is the fear guess. The builder isn't sure how strong the soil is, so they play it extra safe and just over-engineer the foundation. Way more steel, way more concrete than necessary. The result? You've just wasted up to ₹1,00,000 on stuff that's now buried forever underground.
Sometimes a truce is the most important part of a war. With that philosophy in mind, let's get right into the video.
So you're building your dream home. You've picked out the perfect tiles, the fancy kitchen, but what if I told you the most important part of your house is something you'll never, ever see? It's the foundation. And there's a secret to getting it right. A secret that costs just about 8,000 rupees, but can save you from a world of stress and lakhs in repairs. Let's get into it. It's every new homeowner's worst nightmare, right? You've poured your life savings into this house, you've just moved in, everything is perfect, and then you spot it. A crack, slowly creeping up your brand new wall. You think, how is this possible? The house is brand new. Your mind immediately jumps to the usual suspects. They must have used bad cement, or they cheaped out on the sand. We've all heard those horror stories. But here's the thing. What if I told you that in a lot of these cases, the materials are actually top-notch? The problem isn't what's in your walls. It's what's under them. That's right, the problem is literally under your feet. The very ground your home is built on has shifted, and it's usually all because of one of the most overlooked but absolutely critical steps in construction, the soil test. See, building a house without doing a soil test is what I call building blind. You're basically asking a professional to perform a super complex, incredibly expensive procedure with zero information. It's not just a guess, it's a massive gamble with your single biggest investment. Imagine a surgeon saying this to you. You'd run out of that hospital as fast as you could, right? Of course you would. You would never let someone operate on you without a proper diagnosis. So why would you let someone build a house, something that weighs hundreds of tons, without one? That's exactly what a soil test is. It's the blood test for your land. It's that essential diagnostic that tells an engineer whether the ground can actually handle the massive weight of your dream home. Because what you see on the surface, it tells you nothing about what's really going on 10 feet below. So, when you skip the soil test, you're forcing your builder to gamble with your money. They're left to just guess about the foundation design, and that usually leads to two very different but equally dangerous outcomes for your wallet. We call them the fear guess and the overconfidence guess. One wastes your money right at the beginning, the other one costs you an absolute fortune in repairs later on. Let's break them down. Okay, first up is the fear guess. The builder isn't sure how strong the soil is, so they play it extra safe and just over-engineer the foundation. Way more steel, way more concrete than necessary. The result? You've just wasted up to ₹1,00,000 on stuff that's now buried forever underground. But the overconfidence guess is so much worse. This is when the builder just glances at the land, assumes it's fine, and puts in a standard, maybe even an underpowered foundation. A few years later, the soil settles, a pillar sinks by just an inch, and a massive crack snakes its way up your wall. The repair bill for something like that, you're looking at 2 lakhs, easily if not more. So why does this even happen? To understand that, we need to dig a little deeper, go beneath the surface, and meet the real villain of this story. The main culprit, especially in regions like Tamil Nadu, is a type of soil known as clay soil, or Kali Mann. On the surface, it looks totally harmless, but its behavior is incredibly unpredictable, and that's what makes it so destructive. Here's the problem with it. When it rains, clay soil soaks up all that water and swells up like a sponge. Then, during the dry seasons, it shrinks and cracks. This constant cycle of expanding and contracting puts immense, uneven pressure on your foundation, causing it to bend and eventually break. This is where that soil test report comes in to save the day. It gives engineers one crucial piece of data, the soil bearing capacity, or SBC. Think of it as the magic number that tells them exactly how much weight the land can safely support. It allows them to design a foundation that's just right. No more guesswork. All right, now that we know the problem inside and out, let's talk about the simple, incredibly affordable solution that can save you from this entire nightmare. The process is actually surprisingly simple. A specialized agency comes out, drills a few holes on your plot, and collects soil samples from different depths. They send those samples off to a lab for analysis, and a few days later, you get a detailed report in your hands. That's it. When you look at it this way, the choice is pretty stark, isn't it? You can invest about 8,000 rupees on a soil test now, or you can risk spending 2 lakh rupees or more on heartbreaking repairs down the road. The numbers really do speak for themselves. So I'll just leave you with this thought. Knowing that your dream home's entire future rests on the ground beneath it, and that a simple, affordable test can prevent a financial catastrophe, is saving a few thousand rupees today really worth that risk?
Like, share, and subscribe to Connect and Build. I have already done. Did you guys subscribe?